yeah, Dandadan, and I was saying that like, yeah, sexual assault is a big thing in Dandadan, and I wonder if the author is going to make it a bigger focus on an upcoming arc in the future. I don't have a problem with the sexual assault happening in here because of two things. One, I'm glad the author is making it happening to both. Well, not happy, but it's happening to both genders.
Use your
Like, am I
words
wrong?
wisely. I don't
Yeah,
think
it's
anyone
happening
should
to
be getting sexually assaulted, and it's a really
right.
uncomfortable thing to watch as a viewer,
It is. It
even if
is, but
it's done by aliens.
I agree, but I do think the purpose of it is to show the horrific nature of it and how it can affect both of them. I wonder if the author is going to take this on a deeper psychological level to explore these actions because right now I don't think it's a gag. I don't think the author's treating this as like a gag or a gimmick. I think he or she is trying to portray these aliens are unforgivable and they are monsters, right? I wonder if this will play into a factor in later arcs, or maybe there's a message that's already presented that I haven't seen yet, or I'm not exposed to yet. Maybe I need to
You read the manga too,
rewatch it
right?
or reabsorb it. I no, like where the Dawn season 2 ended is where the manga is for me too. Like I don't know what happens
Like
in the
I
future.
haven't watched Dandadan in like almost 2 months, so like I'm definitely behind on Dandadan. I don't
Are
know.
you
I might only be
traumatized?
like an episode or two behind because I mean I was keeping up with it for a good couple of weeks, but it's like
Yeah.
it's the best way I can describe it is it's like it's the most high quality hot trash I've ever seen. Like the production value was amazing.
Dang.
I
Of
ha-
Donadon?
it's like so. All
Dang.
right, let me. All right, don't clip this out
Hey,
of
be careful with your
context.
words now.
Don't clip this out of
I'm
context.
gonna
But
clip
hear
it out of
me out.
context. Oh yeah.
Don't, because then cats in the comments are gonna get all hot and
You're
they
about to
weren't
get
listening.
clips.
Because if you actually like listen to what I was saying, you'd probably be like, all right, like I can see how you arrived there. Let me not say hot trash. I think Dandadan is like a really, really like I think it's the best rom com anime we've seen in a long time, while also playfully mixed. It's almost like instead of having a supernatural show, I think we talked about it before. Instead of having a supernatural show that pivots and has like a B plot with romance and comedy, is a romance comedy with all of the supernatural stuff being a B plot or just kind of being like a justifier for more romance, which I really, really, really love. And I don't think I've ever seen a show do it like that before. And I think Donana is always going to get its props for that from me. I think the production value is awesome. I feel like the writing is just so organic and real. I feel like these are real characters. So I'm like, it's very easy to root for. Same way I feel about like shows like Soul Eater, where it was very
Yeah.
easy to like root for these characters. Although I would argue, like Dandadan's fan service is so weird. You know what I mean? Like it's
Is it
either
fan
fan service.
service?
No, some of it's fan service. Like right at the very beginning of the show, Momo. I'm not gonna say the scene,
Is that wait, which
bro,
scene?
bro.
I'm thinking which
It was
scene?
right after they got out of the tunnel with Turbo Granny.
Was there
No,
like
no,
a
no.
shot?
Momo got kidnapped by the alien, and what happened to her?
She was like tied up,
And
right?
then
Yeah, and then the alien like whipped out its thing.
in that
Is there like wait?
episode, they stripped her down to her undies, bro.
Yeah, that's not fan service though. If you now you gotta be very careful here. You gotta be very careful here
It's
because
sexually suggestive content, is what I'm trying to say.
that's a fair. Okay, now that's fair if you want to say sexually suggestive content. The reason why I don't see that as fan service is because we gotta be very careful with what that might mean. Fan service to me means that you are framing a shot in order to entice like a sexual reaction, in my opinion. Right, like Fire Force is an example. There's no way no one could tell me that there's no fan service shots because obviously it's framed as like a comedy gag, a joking manner. Oh, look at this girl who's like in this
Tripping
figure, this
over
frame,
herself, doing all this
right,
dumb
tripping over
stuff.
herself, all the tropes. Whereas I feel like if you watch even like live action movies, like when they are chained up like that as a woman, they're stripped down to their
Their undies,
undergarments.
yeah.
It's not, yeah, it may not be framed necessarily as like, ooh, they're trying to make me aroused. They're trying to show this person is feared. Like this is a woman
This person's in
chained
a
up,
vulnerable state, and
vulnerable
that's
state, and it's
directly
like
tied to the narrative, is what you're saying.
right, directly tied to the narrative of what this scene is. And I think another reason why is because I guess like you said, tied to the narrative. it's tied to the plot of what's going on. It's not like just some cute scene of the writer being like, "Hey, just look at this real quick, guys." Wink, wink. It's more like it's linked to the plot of she is kidnapped and these aliens are here, and their body function, how they extract information. Unfortunately, to us Earthlings, looks like sexual assault, and it is sexual assault. But to these aliens, it's a way for them to extract information. That's why, like to me,
And
it
so that's
works
your
with
defense of that in Dandadan's narrative. That's your defense.
yes,
All
yes, and
right.
Donald's
So, like,
narrative.
given what you said, we're gonna move forward with this running definition of fan service. It's unnecessary supplemental scenes that are clearly suggestive for the purpose of arousing some specific type of reaction from the audience outside of the
Yes,
overall narrative. It's the same way, like,
yes,
you do not need that beach episode of every anime. You do
you
not
don't,
need that hot springs episode of every anime, but you get it anyway.
you don't.
If you took it
Right,
out, the narrative would not suffer at all. It's the
right.
same thing with like 98% of sex scenes in television in general, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Like you don't need that joint, bro. I
yeah.
don't think you need it.
I don't think you need either. But
I
like,
would argue that 90% of fan service, if you removed it, would actually enhance the experience of a lot of these shows.
oh, 100%. Yeah,
And
and
it would make it a lot easier for me to recommend these shows.
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie
it
to
would
you,
make
like
it
I
easier
can't watch Fire
because
Force. I honestly might just do the manga altogether.
I wonder if the manga has the fan service in there too, because it's in there a lot. I
I
wonder if
bet
the manga
it's
has
more
it too.
bearable in the manga because with a book you can always just flip the page faster with it. With the
That's
TV
true.
show, I think that's the thing with reading versus like like the book adaptation versus the TV adaptation. With books, yes, you can only read so fast, but like the pacing of your reading almost determines the pace of your enjoyment. Where with
Mm,
anime or just television in general, when it's being adapted, like five minutes of TV time for me is 5 minutes of TV time for you. If I'm reading a manga and I
right.
see some really dope fight scene, like really creative paneling, I can stop and be like, wow, like I can take that in. Or I could be like, all
Yeah.
right, yeah, he got stopped in the face, whatever. Next page.
Yeah.
And I feel like because we're all watching at the exact same pace, like the pacing and like being able to sit through that fan service is that much more painful. Where I bet if I was
Yeah.
in the manga, I would be able to like get the gist of what's going on and slip to the next page because they're not going to take up multiple precious chapter pages on that. But
Right.
animation
They're not.
studios, they going to animate how they're going to animate. And I find it
Hmm.
extremely
They are.
disengaging because I mean, you guys know I love Soul Eater. Soul Eater is one of my favorite shows of all time. Soul
Yeah, I
Eater had a
love that
lot
show.
of fan service, but it didn't feel half, if not a quarter, as disruptive as Fire
Yeah.
Force's fan service.
That is the if we have to have fan service in shonen anime, that is the best case scenario to use it in, where it kind of flows, where it doesn't like disrupt the momentum and the emotions of a scene. So in order to throw this gag uh, trope in there, that is the best way to do it, in my opinion. Yeah.
Facts.
Because like one thing you brought up too about fan service is that they certain settings kind of correlate to a fan service moment in those settings, right? Like you said, the beach, like any of these etchy or harem animes that have beach episodes clearly are for young boys to Google at, boobies, right?
Yeah, I feel like that's
Go ahead.
exactly why I'm so selective with what I watch. I watch a lot of trash anime. Don't get me wrong. Recently,
Mhm.
I'll be bored. I'll put on anything that's under the adventure genre tab. I be watching for the
Yeah,
most part these days. Um, Honestly, yeah, that's just the go-to tag because that's where you get a lot of your like fantasy shows and just
yeah,
straight up isekais are almost all exclusively fantasy.
yeah,
Even if it's not an isekai, it's a fantasy. And there's always, and I feel like I noticed this years ago. It's almost as though these writers are trying to get their foot in the door at all costs, and they're just like,
yeah,
let's design these characters a certain way.
yeah,
The animators are like, let's design these characters. Yeah, we're on. Let's design these characters a certain way, and the first 2 to like 4 episodes, even if it's like you clicked on the show and it said it's an etchy, right? The first two to
yeah,
four episodes seem to be more front loaded with all the fan service, but then it almost takes this heavy back seat, and then the writer actually gets to write a good story, and then the story is actually a lot more engaging, and then it's almost as if the writer is like having fun writing a good story, and then every now and then they're like, oh yeah, a 14-year-old boy's watching this. Let me
yeah.
Draw that in
Yeah,
there
let
real
me throw
quick.
some of this in there.
But
Yeah,
I almost feel like it's a marketing tactic to a certain degree.
it is. It is 100% a marketing
I
tactic.
don't think it's like, but there are certain situations where it's just like you can tell some of these mangaka had never experienced anything in real life, and they're just really down bad
Dang.
individuals, bro.
Are you saying they never experienced love before?
Some of them cats, bro. The way that no, there's some of the stuff that you've seen in these shows. I'm like, ain't no way you've ever talked to a person, bro.
Sad and lonely.
No, there's just certain shows where you just have to turn that joint off because you're just like, this is some down bad individual type behavior.
Very down bad.
Like that's how I feel like the person who wrote Rent a Girlfriend probably had to rent a girlfriend. That's the only
He has a
way that
wife.
show.
He has a wife. By the way.
How, Sway? Did he rent that wife?
He has a wife.
Yes, he does. His whole wife.
What?
That's crazy.
Wait, you told. Wait, the writer has a wife or
Yeah,
the character
yes,
has a wife?
the right. The
Did he have a
writer-
wife when he wrote Rent a Girlfriend?
Right, that's
Yes,
the question.
he currently has a wife.
No. When
Like, I
he
think
wrote Rent a Girlfriend.
There was some speculation that he based the main character, the main girl, off his wife. There's speculation off of that.
She must be a great wife.
Wait,
'Cause the
Michael,
main
how do you
character
know
is
this?
the main girl is the only good character in the entirety of the show.
James is asking the good questions here.
How does Malcolm know this? He
Did
doesn't
you
watch
look
nothing.
this up? Or did you
No,
just
I didn't-
happen to watch a
it
YouTube video?
It randomly popped up. It was somewhere on my feed. Like somebody, I think it was on one of my Twitter feeds, and it was someone like made a comparison. It was like, oh, this is like dude to this guy's wife, and it was like a thread, and I was just invested into reading the whole thread. And there was people speculating, and it was like, oh, actually, it could be, but it couldn't be at some point. And also, the main character might be off of him, based on, or the main character. The main character is based off of him. But it's like he also like he himself may have a crush on. It is weird. I'm not.
So he has a crush on his own wife, but he's still a down bad individual.
Yeah, that those are there's two speculations. Either that the main girl is based off of his wife, or the main girl is just someone separately, and he just happens to have a crush on this girl that he made up himself. Yeah, it's insane.
No, I just find it hard to believe that he would base himself off the main character, unless the main character is him when he was like 13 and desperate.
That's what people are confused about.
Maybe.
But the thing is, the main character is a college kid.
Jason, don't think too deep about this. Your brain's gonna hurt to figure
I
this
think
all out.
you're underestimating people, Jason. There are 8 billion people in this world.
That's true.
That's how people work.
I've said this, and I think I'm going to say it right now. I think that show is garbage, bro.
You said it multiple times, yeah.
I was going to say it, and I won't say it again, but I knew that was a lie. Because there are a handful of shows.
You really don't like that show.
You know what it was? I think it was a combination of people were hyping it up a lot. I hadn't watched a good rom-com in a long time. Because me, I take breaks from certain genres. Like, I'll be in my shonen bag for a while. And then I'll take a break and then watch some slice of life shows for a while. And I'll take a break and every now and then I'll watch a rom-com. So I hadn't watched a rom-com in a minute. I just watched like a fantastic show like Quintessential Quintuplets.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone was like, watch Rent a Girlfriend. Dude, it's like going to a 4-star restaurant and then after that driving to Wendy's.
That's a terrible recommendation from quintuplets to transition from there to Rent a Girlfriend like that. They don't.
And
they
people
don't
were gassing this show up, and so for me, it was more disappointing than when I watched Classroom of the Elite. And I'm not going to dog on that show right now, but I could.
No, go ahead, dog on it. Go all in.
No, I don't have to go all in.
We don't have time.
It's like a dumb show. It's a dumb show.
Yeah.
It's like what a 12-year-old thinks a genius would act and sound like. And then they wrote a show based on that. And I think if you don't know, it's like someone's like, oh man, you like Death Note, you're going to love Classroom of the Elite. And I'm like, not the same. Not the same level of writing, not the same level of foresight, not the same level of foreshadowing, nothing. Not even remotely close.
None of that.
There's nothing convincing about it. People's like motivations are weird. And like this broody, edgy, like I've seen some bad shows recently too.
Really?
I told you about it. That one dude.
Watch bad shows. Yeah, it's true.
The Arufueta, the world's strongest. Don't watch that show. Yeah. It's terrible.
Why not? You know, might be interesting.
Dude, it had a good production value and had 3 seasons. I'm like, maybe it's just a really corny first season. Had it on in the background, kept watching it in the background in my free time over the course of some days or whatever. I keep watching, like, I don't think this gets any better. I think this is just, I think this is it.
That's bad.
And you felt so disappointed.
I mean, I knew it was trash when I started it, though. I just was thinking it was going to stop being trash.
Oh, you thought there was gonna be potential afterwards.
Because there's some shows that start off really corny and get really good once they like get past all their bad jokes, once they get past all like the cringy like writing and like no.
No, it stayed just like that. Stayed terrible. That makes
All right.
sense. But yeah, so Malcolm, we were
What do I
talking about
miss?
fan service.
But I'll get
Oh,
into it when
which
we do our isekai episode. Why Alfred that is strongest is
Okay.
just an excellent example
why
of
are
terrible isekai.
why are we talking about fan service?
We were
Go
just
ahead, Jason.
chopping it up, and then we were talking
Actually,
about the
yeah,
shows we were
what show
watching.
were you talking about?
We were talking
Dandadan.
about how but first we were talking about Dandadan and then we talked about Fire Force because Dandadan is like really good show, but it just has these really weird scenes. And then there's like Fire Force, which would be really good if it wouldn't constantly undermine its tension with weirdly timed, unnecessary, completely like distracting fan service. Because I was telling them like
Yeah.
there's shows that like have it and it's not the worst thing in the world. Like Soul Eater. I love Soul Eater. That's my show right there. There's a ton of fan service in Soul Eater. I can't deny it. If you took it out, the show wouldn't suffer for it, but it's there. But it's not like disruptive in the same way that Fire Force is.
Yeah, and we were talking about Jason was framed. Well, Jason's perspective on it was more so like Dandadan has a lot of like the sexual assault scenes from his perspective were seen as like fan service in a way, and that led to us having a dialogue of thinking about like, well, how do we like? Is it fan service really?
I was using the
And that's
word
when
fan service as unnecessary sexually explicit content. And
and
then,
from my go ahead.
and then we talked about it some more and we were like, nah, that's not a very good definition of fan service because fan service doesn't necessarily have to be explicit content. Because technically, adding Shadow the Hedgehog and Super Smash Bros. Will be considered fan service because it's something that fans want in a form of media. And there's nothing explicit about
Right.
Shadow the Hedgehog being added in as a Sonic character in
Yeah,
Stop.
and,
Malcolm.
and which is true. But Malcolm, also the other thing too that I was bringing up as well is the fact that like if these uncomfortable sequences in an anime or movie or whatever are relative to the narrative, then is it really fan service? Because I told Jason my definition was fan service is unnecessary fluff in there, just just to be
Just
there.
to be added in there.
But
Like if
for it
it
to be
has
added,
no
but
bearing on the plot.
right, but I was telling Jason that like arguably Dandadan, they use those weird scenes to fit the narrative and to fit like themes and conversations that the author might want to have, such as the sexual assault scenes that we see with either Momo or with the male protagonist too. That like there are reasons. And another example, I know we're about to go off the topic, but one quick example too I wanted to bring up is that um, Hot Springs is another place where fan service could happen, right? And that's why I love what Don Don did so much. It's because we see a Malcolm. I don't think you watched Don Don.
No,
Did you?
Just keep
Okay.
going. Just keep going. Keep talking.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Malcolm. I didn't mean to air you out like that. But there's a scene where Momo is in the hot springs, and mind you, there's nothing really sexual that happens with Momo.
There really
you don't see her
isn't, bro.
stand up or nothing like that. There's no boobies or no butt really shown or nothing like that, right? But what I love is that she's in the hot spring and she's having this conversation in her head, hoping that her friend, what's the male protagonist's name? Jason, what's his name?
Oh, Okarun?
Yeah, Okaroon. Sorry, yeah, Okaroon and her longtime childhood friend from the past. They met up, and she's in the hot spring, just hoping that they are getting along. She left them alone at a house while she went to the hot spring to kind of like recharge her magical energy and things of that nature. So she's just thinking, like, hoping that they will get along, because she knows how boys could probably get. And then during this time, while she's in the hot spring, there are these 5 grown men who just show up to this hot spring. I don't remember if it's co-ed. I think it is a co-ed hot spring, but they show up, and the way it's framed is very terrifying for a young woman to be in a hot spring by herself and five adult men are like approaching her and they're like laughing, giggling, kind of like amusing to the idea of what they could do with this lonely girl here, right? And I want to bring that up because usually hot springs are used as fan service, but I think the way the author flipped it on its head of showing that like the terrifying nature of this scene relates to the actual overall narrative and to these creatures because we find out that these guys, I'm not trying to spoil everything, Malcolm, I apologize, but we do find out that these five large men are part of a group of like the, I don't say the elite, but they're part of the group that kind of like runs
They're
the
part of a
town.
gang, bro.
So they have part of a gang and they have a lot of power in this town. So I felt like it was a commentary about how powerful people take advantage of like others when there's like more of them and they feel like they can do whatever they want. And this was a setting where the author tried to display that. So that's the
And
main
Malcolm,
conversation me and Jason had.
you missed this that James said it really earlier. I think that was a really good justification because I think when I'm watching these shows, I'm thinking, how uncomfortable would I be if I was watching this with a friend who doesn't watch anime? Because again, like there's a certain level of like we're used to what anime comes with, right? Like let's be real. And then James made a really good point. These villains of the story, like instead of making them this abstract, we just want to kidnap you, or we just want to be evil just to be evil. The author actually makes them do some pretty deplorable things, aka all of this, aka being a
Yeah.
creep, aka trying to do this and that. Even in the first episode, I think I made the point that like that was an uncomfortable scene to watch, and I think I missed that. That was the point. This is supposed to be uncomfortable to watch because a villain is doing a villainous thing to the main characters, and so I think I missed the point, and I think James made a really good joint, kind of highlighting that again.
Woo! And also,
So
Jason
he
said
changed
something
my
crazy
mind.
about he said something crazy about Dandadan. I'm gonna clip it out of context so we get some views. You know what I'm saying?
Don't,
So
don't, don't you
yeah,
dare.
yeah.
Yes, please do that.
I'm tired of getting dogged in those comments, bro. Because you
They be
keep
coming at
clipping
Jason
stuff
for
out of
everything.
content, dude. Even the One Piece joint. By the way, I'm over 100 episodes past where I was last pod on
Nice,
One Piece.
nice.
I'm on episode. What episode of One Piece am I on? I'm on 318.
Ooh,
Wow.
okay, okay. 318.
One
Dang.
Piece is still peak. There are definitely long stretches of episodes that are straight fluff. I will admit that, but it's still really, 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 really good. If anything, it has raised my opinion of One Piece even more.
When is the One Piece? Malcolm's looking like what? How could it? But how is when's the live action season 2 coming out, Jason, for One
Let
Piece?
me check.
Let me see, because I haven't catched up on it, and a part of me, I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like when you're someone who's like consumed One Piece, I'm so far ahead of it, and I already know like the live action won't live up to like either the manga or the anime
No
because
way.
Live up
obviously
to
there's physical
it'll be better.
limitations.
It's better actually.
Be quiet. Be quiet, Malcolm. No one asked for
Stop.
your opinion. You're a hating. You're a hater.
How can I hate One
It
Piece
comes
if
out
I
next
love the
year.
One Piece live
It says
action?
sometime in
Next year?
2026. They're probably still ironing
Okay,
out the wrinkle. I'd rather them like push it if they need to push it though.
that makes sense. Okay. But yeah. So speaking of One Piece, that's a continuous anime that's been going on for a while since before I was born. I think the same year I was born
99.
actually.
No, it was after
'99.
you're born.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
older. You're a little bit older than One Piece.
I know, right? Dang, that's crazy. I'm a little older than One Piece. Yo, when we get older, there's gonna be so many kids. Like I'm gonna put my kids on the anime. There's like it's just a fact. I'm gonna put them on the anime. And if they sit there next to me while we're watching like Dandadan or Dragon Ball Z or oh gosh, hopefully not Naruto, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, the animation sucks." In my time, this looked really good growing up. Like like I
I
don't
mean, I think
know.
that's why you should always have different eras of media playing at the same time. So, like, you can watch
That's
something that
true.
came out in 2000, and then you can watch like a 1995 classic movie, and then you can watch something that came out last year, and then you hop
Yeah,
between. And I think being able to hop between allows you to appreciate all of them instead of being
yeah.
like, all I watch is the old stuff, and now this new stuff is so different that it's jarring, or all I watch is the new stuff. Now this old stuff looks crusty to me.
Crusty's a crazy thing to describe it, but yeah,
But
that's
that's
true.
what they be
It is
saying.
crusty. So then, what
All
are we
right.
doing, y'all? Are we?
All right, do you want to get back to the real stuff? Because we were just chatting while we were waiting for you, and then
Yeah,
James was like,
we're just
let's just
talking.
get the joint."